I pulled into the parking lot of Evergreen Memory Care at 2:47 p.m. The facility looked pristine, white columns, manicured hedges, a fountain in the courtyard. My brother Marcus had been living here for 8 months after his traumatic brain injury. The accident left him with severe cognitive impairment. He couldn't remember yesterday, but he knew faces, emotions, love. His wife Vanessa visited every Tuesday and Thursday, or so she told everyone. But I was about to find out she'd been lying. I walked through the automatic doors and smiled at the receptionist. "Hey, Claire, here to see Marcus." She looked up, confused. "Oh, Ryan. I thought you knew." "Vanessa called this morning and said no visitors today. Family orders." I froze. "Family orders?" "Yeah," she said. Marcus was having a rough day and needed rest. Claire shrugged apologetically. "I'm sorry. We have to follow the spouse's instructions." Something twisted in my gut. I talked to Vanessa yesterday. She hadn't mentioned anything. I pulled out my phone and texted her. "Hey, at Evergreen. They said you restricted visits?" 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. Finally, "Ryan, Marcus isn't doing well. Doctor said too much stimulation. I'll let you know when he's ready." I stared at the message. Marcus wasn't doing well? I'd seen him 4 days ago. He was laughing, asking me about my job, holding my hand. "Claire," I said slowly, "has Vanessa been here this week?" She pulled up the visitor log and scrolled. Let's see. Tuesday, she signed in at 10 a.m., stayed 15 minutes. Thursday, same thing. 10 minutes. 15 minutes. 10 minutes. My brother had been sitting in that room waiting for his wife, and she gave him 10 minutes. And before that? Claire scrolled further. Her face changed. "Oh. Last week she came once. The week before, twice, but for under 20 minutes total." My chest tightened. "Can I see him? Please." "I won't tell her." Claire bit her lip. Then she leaned forward. "Room 14. But if anyone asks, you didn't hear it from me." I walked down the hallway, my hands clenched into fists. The walls were painted a soft beige, photos of residents smiling, living their best lives. Everything looked perfect. I opened the door to room 14. Marcus was sitting in his wheelchair facing the window. His hair was uncombed. His shirt was stained. The TV was off. The room was silent except for the hum of the air conditioner. "Hey, buddy," I said gently. He turned, and his face lit up. "Ryan. You came." I walked over and knelt beside him. "Of course I came. I always come." He grabbed my hand, squeezing hard. "Vanessa said you were busy. That you couldn't visit anymore." I went cold. "What?" "She said you got a new job and moved away. That you'd call when you could." His eyes were wide, trusting, confused. "But you're here. So she was wrong?" I felt something crack inside me. "Yeah, Marcus. She was wrong." That's when I noticed the bruises. Faint, yellowish marks on his wrists. Like someone had grabbed him too hard. "Marcus, where'd you get these?" I touched his wrist gently. He flinched and pulled back. "I don't remember. Vanessa says I fall a lot, but I don't think I fall. Has anyone hurt you?" He looked at me for a long moment, and I saw something flicker in his eyes. Fear. Sometimes people get mad when I don't remember things. I couldn't breathe. "Who gets mad, Marcus?" But he just shook his head, suddenly distant. "I don't want to make anyone upset." I stayed with him for 2 hours, fed him the lunch he hadn't touched, combed his hair, turned on his favorite show. And the whole time, I felt rage building in my chest like a furnace. When I left, I didn't go home. I went to a coffee shop and started digging. First, I called the facility administrator. "Hi, this is Ryan Foster. I'm Marcus Foster's brother, and I have some concerns about his care." The administrator, a woman named Patricia, sounded professional but guarded. "What kind of concerns?" "I'd like to see his medical records. And his visitor logs for the past 6 months. There was a pause. "I'll need to check with our legal team. Those are typically only released to the spouse or medical power of attorney." "Who has medical power of attorney?" "Vanessa Foster." Of course she did. I hung up and called my friend Joel, a paralegal. I need advice. Fast. 20 minutes later, I had a plan. File for guardianship review. Document everything, get witnesses. And most importantly, don't let Vanessa know I was coming. That night, I went through Marcus's social media. Vanessa had been posting regularly. Photos of herself at charity events, brunches, spa days. Captions like "self-care is not selfish," and "taking time for me." Hundreds of comments. People calling her strong, brave, and inspiration. In 8 months, she'd posted Marcus exactly twice. Both photos from the hospital, right after the accident. Both with captions about staying strong for him and praying for recovery. Nothing since. Like he'd disappeared. I scrolled further back to before the accident. They'd seemed happy. Marcus smiling, arm around her. Vanessa glowing. Comments like relationship goals and you two are perfect. Then I found something. A photo from 3 months before the accident. Marcus and Vanessa at a gala. She was wearing a red dress, diamonds around her neck. He was in a tuxedo, looking uncomfortable. The caption, "My husband refuses to network. But at least he looks good doing nothing." I zoomed in on Marcus's face. He wasn't smiling. He looked exhausted. I kept digging. Found a comment thread under one of her recent posts. Someone had written, "How's Marcus doing? We miss him at the office." Vanessa's reply, "He's in a facility getting the best care. I visit as much as I can, but the doctors say he needs space to heal. Thank you for thinking of him." I screenshotted everything. The next day, I drove back to Evergreen. This time, I brought a notebook. I talked to every staff member who would speak to me. One nurse, an older woman named Diane, pulled me aside. "Your brother's a sweet man," she said quietly. "But I have to tell you, something's not right." "What do you mean?" Vanessa comes in, stays a few minutes, and leaves. But before she goes, she always tells us Marcus doesn't want visitors. That he's too fragile. That his family is too overwhelming. She hesitated. "But Marcus asks about you every single day." My hands shook. Has she ever heard him? Diane looked around, then leaned closer. "I can't say for sure. But twice, I've seen bruises after her visits. And once, he was crying. When I asked what happened, he said he couldn't remember, but he seemed scared." "Did you report it?" "I tried. But she's the spouse. She has all the power." Diane's voice cracked. "I'm sorry. I wish I could do more." I left the facility and sat in my car, staring at nothing. Then I called Marcus's old employer, a tech company downtown. I asked to speak to his former manager. "Ryan Foster?" "Yeah, I remember you from the hospital." The manager, Todd, sounded somber. "How's Marcus doing?" "That's what I'm trying to figure out." "Did Vanessa ever reach out after the accident? About his benefits, insurance, anything?" Todd was quiet for a moment. "She did, actually. About a month after. She asked about his life insurance policy and his 401k. Wanted to know if there was a payout for permanent disability." Ice ran through my veins. "What did you tell her?" "That Marcus was still employed on medical leave. That his benefits were active." But she seemed frustrated. Kept asking if there was any way to access his retirement funds early. "Did she get access?" "Not through us. But if she has power of attorney, she could probably move things around." I thanked him and hung up. Then I called Marcus's bank. Pretended to be him, using details only family would know. The representative couldn't give me specifics, but she confirmed that there had been significant account activity over the past 6 months. Vanessa was draining him. I needed proof. Hard evidence. Something that would hold up in court. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I hired a private investigator. His name was Dennis, a grizzled ex-cop with a bad knee and a sharp eye. I met him at a diner and laid everything out. "You think the wife is abusing him?" "I know she is. I just can't prove it." Dennis leaned back and stirred his coffee. "Abuse cases in care facilities are tricky. Staff is loyal to whoever pays the bills. And if she's got power of attorney, she's untouchable unless you can show she's acting against his interests. She's isolating him. Lying about his condition. Stealing his money, then we document it. I'll tail her, pull financial records if I can, and see what she's really doing with her time." He paused. "But this won't be cheap. I don't care. Whatever it costs." For the next 3 weeks, Dennis followed Vanessa. And what he found made me sick. She wasn't visiting Marcus on Tuesdays and Thursdays. She was signing the visitor log, staying 10 minutes, then leaving to meet a man named Colin at a hotel bar. They'd have drinks, laugh, touch hands across the table. Then they'd disappear into a room upstairs. Dennis got photos. Time-stamped. Clear as day. But it wasn't just the affair. Vanessa had also transferred $47,000 from Marcus's accounts into her own. She'd sold his car, pocketed the cash, and told the insurance company he no longer needed it. She'd canceled his physical therapy, claiming it was too stressful, even though his doctor had recommended it. She was erasing him. Piece by piece. Dennis handed me a folder thick with evidence. "You've got enough here to bury her. Financial exploitation, neglect, possibly physical abuse. Take this to a lawyer." I did. The lawyer, a sharp woman named Angela Reeves, reviewed everything. Then she looked at me. "This is airtight. We can file for emergency guardianship and freeze her access to his accounts. But you need to be prepared. She's going to fight back. Let her. Angela filed the paperwork that afternoon. Within 48 hours, Vanessa received a court summons. And that's when she called me. What the hell do you think you're doing? Her voice was shrill, furious. You're trying to take Marcus away from me? I'm trying to protect him. Something you stopped doing months ago. I've been taking care of him. Do you know how hard it is? How exhausting. You've been stealing from him? Lying to him. Abandoning him. That's insane. You don't know what you're talking about. I have photos, Vanessa. Bank statements. Witness testimony. I know about Colin. Silence. Long, cold silence. Then her voice changed. Became low, dangerous. You're making a huge mistake, Ryan. Marcus is my husband. I have rights. And if you push this, I'll make sure you never see him again. I laughed. Actually laughed. You already tried that. It didn't work. She hung up. 2 days later, I got a call from Patricia at Evergreen. Mr. Foster, Vanessa has requested an immediate transfer of Marcus to another facility. She's citing family conflict and safety concerns. She can't do that. She's his spouse. Unless there's a court order, she can. There will be. Don't let her move him. I'll do what I can. But if she insists, we have to comply. I called Angela in a panic. She filed an emergency injunction that afternoon. The judge granted it, freezing any transfers until the guardianship hearing. Vanessa was trapped. And she knew it. The hearing was set for 3 weeks later. In the meantime, I visited Marcus every day. I brought him books, old photos, his favorite snacks. I combed his hair, trimmed his nails, made sure he ate. And slowly he started to come back. Not his memory, but his spirit. He smiled more. Laughed. Asked questions. One afternoon, he grabbed my hand and said, I feel safe when you're here. I had to step outside and cry. The day before the hearing, Vanessa showed up at Evergreen. I was in Marcus's room when she walked in. She looked different. Thinner. Dark circles under her eyes. Her hair wasn't perfect anymore. Vanessa, I said coldly. She ignored me. Walked straight to Marcus and knelt beside him. Baby, I'm so sorry. I know I haven't been here enough. But I'm going to fix that. I promise. Marcus looked at her, confused. Where have you been? I've been busy, honey. But I'm here now. She touched his face, and he flinched. That's when I saw it. The fear in his eyes. Marcus, I said gently. Do you want Vanessa to stay? He looked at me, then at her, then back at me. I don't know. Vanessa stood up, glaring at me. You've been poisoning him against me. I've been telling him the truth. The truth? You're a bitter, jealous man who can't stand that Marcus chose me over you. He didn't choose anything. He can't choose. And you've been exploiting that. She stepped closer, voice rising. I'm his wife. I've sacrificed everything for him. You've sacrificed nothing. You abandoned him the second he stopped being useful. A nurse appeared in the doorway. Is everything okay? Vanessa smoothed her hair, composed herself. Everything's fine. I was just leaving. She looked at Marcus one last time. I'll see you soon, baby. Then she left. Marcus watched her go, then turned to me. I don't think I love her anymore. My throat tightened. That's okay, Marcus. You don't have to. The hearing was brutal. Vanessa showed up with her own lawyer, a slick man in an expensive suit. He painted me as a controlling brother with ulterior motives. Claimed I was trying to steal Marcus's assets. But Angela was better. She presented the evidence methodically. The visitor logs showing Vanessa's neglect. The financial records proving theft. The photos of her with Colin. The testimony from Diane and other staff members. When the judge asked Vanessa to explain the bruises on Marcus's wrists, she stammered. Said he must have fallen. That the staff should have been more careful. Angela pulled out medical records showing no documented falls during those time periods. Then she called me to the stand. Mr. Foster. In your own words, why are you seeking guardianship? I looked at Vanessa. Then at the judge. Because my brother can't protect himself. And the person who promised to protect him has betrayed him in every possible way. He deserves better. He deserves someone who will fight for him, not use him. The judge was silent for a long moment. Then she spoke. I've reviewed the evidence. And I find clear and convincing proof of financial exploitation, neglect, and emotional abuse. Effective immediately, I am granting Ryan Foster full guardianship of Marcus Foster. Vanessa Foster's power of attorney is revoked. She is ordered to return all misappropriated funds within 30 days and is prohibited from unsupervised contact with Marcus pending a separate investigation into potential criminal charges. Vanessa's face went white. Her lawyer whispered something to her, but she didn't respond. Just stared at the judge in disbelief. I felt my chest crack open. Relief, rage, grief, all at once. After the hearing, I went straight to Evergreen. Marcus was in his room, watching TV. "Hey buddy, I have some news." He muted the TV and turned to me. "Good news?" "Yeah, really good news. I'm going to be taking care of you from now on." His eyes filled with tears. "You mean I get to stay with you?" "Not right away. But soon. I'm going to find you a better place. Somewhere closer to me. And I'll visit every single day." He reached for my hand. "Thank you, Ryan." Over the next few months, I moved Marcus to a new facility. One with better staff, better programs, more windows. I sold his old condo and used the money to pay off Vanessa's debts and fund his care. She returned $31,000 of the $47,000 she'd taken. The rest was spent, according to her lawyer. The district attorney opened a criminal investigation, but Vanessa's lawyer negotiated a plea deal. She pled guilty to financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult. Got 2 years probation, community service, and a permanent restraining order. She never apologized. But I didn't need her apology. I needed Marcus to be safe. And he was. 6 months later, Marcus and I were sitting in the courtyard of his new facility. He was painting, something his therapist suggested. His hands were shaky, but he was focused, happy. "Ryan, do you think I'll ever remember the accident?" I thought about it. "I don't know. Does it matter?" He smiled. "Not really. I remember you. That's enough." I looked at the painting he was working on. It was abstract, swirls of blue and green. In the corner he'd written one word. Safe. That's when I knew we'd won. Not because Vanessa was punished, but because Marcus was free. A few weeks later, I got a message from Claire at Evergreen. "Thought you'd want to know." Another family came forward. Said they saw your case and realized their dad was being exploited too. "They're fighting back now because you did." I stared at the message. Then I showed it to Marcus. "You helped people, buddy? Even without trying." He looked confused, then proud. "I did?" "Yeah, you did." That night I started writing. Not for revenge. Not for justice. But for the others out there who needed to hear that it was okay to fight. That family meant protecting the people who couldn't protect themselves. That love wasn't ownership. I called it, The Brother Who Stood Up. And within days, it went viral. Messages poured in from people who'd been through the same thing. Adult children whose parents were being exploited, siblings who'd been lied to. Families torn apart by greed. One message stood out. It was from a man named Eric. "My sister has dementia. Her husband won't let me see her. Reading your story gave me the courage to file for guardianship. Thank you." I showed Marcus. "Look, you're changing lives." He smiled. That quiet, peaceful smile. "I don't remember what happened, but I remember you never gave up." And that was all that mattered. Months turned into a year. Marcus's facility became a second home. I brought him to my apartment on weekends. We watched movies, cooked simple meals, went to the park. He still couldn't remember yesterday, but he knew he was loved. One Saturday, we were walking by the lake when he stopped and pointed at the water. "It's beautiful." "Yeah, it is. Ryan, do you think Vanessa ever loved me?" I thought carefully. "I think she loved the idea of you. But she didn't love you enough to stay when things got hard." He nodded slowly. "I'm glad you stayed. I'm your brother. I'll always stay." He squeezed my hand. And we stood there, watching the sun set over the water, two brothers who'd survived something terrible and come out stronger. That was my justice. That was my revenge. That was us, finally free.